they're hiding their true feminescence because they're worried about someone who they possibly don't even know commenting.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Food Matters podcast, your home for nutrition, health, and wellness education. My name is Laurentine. I am a filmmaker and a nutritionist and the founder of foodmatters.com, and I'm here to hold your hand on this journey to optimum health, transformation, and emotional healing. Hello, Food Matters family, and hope you are all doing well. We are here again on another epic episode of the Food Matters podcast, and I am joined with a good friend of mine, Shar Moore, who I've been recently introduced to, and I am just so fascinated with your work, Shar. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Laurentine. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, so Shar is Shar from beautiful Shar, but Shar from sharmore.com.au has also been a really big proponent of feminine voice, and that's something that I have been delving deeper into over the last couple of months, and allowing the feminine voice to speak their truth, to speak up, to speak into the open. So it's beautiful, and I'm really so happy to be able to connect with you and for you to connect with our audience. So a little bit about Shar. Shar, she has a beautiful a magazine throughout Australia, but also internationally, called Feminescence, and she also has a podcast and a show. It's actually, is it a show or would you call it a TV show?
TV show, yeah, TV talk show.
Yeah, called the Girlfriend Hour, and it's really fun. We get to be able to get to know more people, more wonderful women that are stepping up and showing their true colors, speaking from their heart, and making a difference in this world. So thank you for bringing all these amazing change makers to the forefront, and for us all our women that are sitting, on the sidelines going, I wish I could do what these wonderful women are doing, to really showcase them as a wonderful example of what we can all do, right? So in this podcast, I'd love to maybe ask you to tell us a little bit more about how you started on this journey.
Oh, that's a big one. I guess, look, we all have a story and we all have a journey, and I believe that it's because of the things that happen to us and for us that makes us who we are, not despite those things. And I think that's a really clear distinction, that when I share my story with you, for many years I did play victim, but it was when I actually embraced the things that happened to me that's when literally things shifted. So Laurentine, I'm Indian. I was born in Thailand, and at the age of 11, I was betrothed to a man who was 9 years older than me, living in another country. And so a lot of my childhood and those things that, you take for granted, of going out and going on dates and, going to the movies and all of those things that I guess are part of our normal childhood traditionally, I wasn't allowed to do because I was spoken for. And so I did, at the age of 15 and a half, my beautiful stepdad that raised me found out about the situation and asked me the most pivotal question I've ever been asked in my life. And the most important, and that was, is this what you want? And when I was first asked that, as you can imagine, at 15 and a half, we're still young, yet click of a fingers, I grew up in that moment because I realized he had just gifted me with an opportunity to choose my own destiny. Wow. And life, it was phenomenal. And so it was from that moment on that I realized that I've been gifted an opportunity to go out and make an amazing life, and I'm so going to do that. And fast forward many, many years, I met my husband. We've been married just shy of 30 years. I chose him to spend my life with and travel the world with. Beautiful children. We've lived overseas for many years, taking our kids on this wonderful journey and experience. And along the way, I accidentally fell into publishing. So I was facing bankruptcy after the 2011 Queensland floods here in Australia. And because I'd been told my whole younger life that you were just an Indian girl, you were only good enough to get married and have children and stay at home, being in business or having a career and success was just not on my radar. And so when I was facing bankruptcy, Laurentine, I felt like this was, I thought, the universe saying, see, I told you so. You're not meant to do this. You're going to go broke and that's it. You're done. And I walked into a newsagent. I thought, no way, not on my watch. We fundraise for a lot of girls in Asia that are sex trafficked and living in orphanages. And I thought, if I go under, they go under, and that's not going to happen. So I found magazines. I thought if I could find a women's empowerment magazine that was uplifting and positive and everyday women in business, and I could tap into their mindset and what books they were reading, maybe I could get through this situation. And I couldn't find anything. So I said Gandhi's famous last words of be the change you want to see in the world. And I started our first publication.
Wow. And so the publication, tell us the name of the publication and what it stands for in your words.
So the first publication we started was called Why Mag, and Why Mag was all about why you do what you do. What's your purpose in life and in business? Share with our readers essentially why you get up out of bed every day, rather than constantly saying, here's what I do, buy from me. What if we could share from a place of the heart center first, and then tell people what we do? That magazine was so successful, it ran for about 9 years, and we were digital. Our readers crowdfunded us and took us to print. Then we were nationally distributed here in Australia, and then it went from there. But during the pandemic, I think like a lot of people, I got sent back to my naughty corner, and I guess it really sat down to think about what is the impact I'm actually making? Was I going deep enough under the surface, or was I just kind of playing it safe? And I felt like I wasn't challenging people to really think about their existence, their humanity, the legacy that they were here to create. So I was gifted this movement. It literally woke me up, Laurentine, at like 2 a.m. Wow. And I rambled, and I woke my husband up and I said, I feel like I've got to help women connect back into their feminine essence. But because it was 2 a.m, I didn't have my speaker voice on, right? And I said, feminescence. And he stopped me and he said, that is a really good word. And I said, what word? And he said, feminescence. It was the first time I heard it back, and I'm like covered in goosebumps and I'm crying, and I'm like, that's it. I've been gifted to guide women back to their innate feminine essence. Basically, I'm guiding them back home. And that's the premise behind the Feminescence movement with our magazine and our books.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that so, so much. And it speaks really dear to my heart. But for those women that are listening and are saying, what are you talking about? What do you mean our feminine essence? Like we've been, taught to, set goals and make sure that we get our kids fed and off to school, and we have like commitments at work and play, and we have to look beautiful all the time. Like we don't have time for our feminine essence.
Oh, yes, we hear that a lot, don't we? And look, I think that here in Australia as well, like there's been a lot of masculine trainers and speakers that we've gone and listened to. And don't get me wrong, we definitely need the balance of masculine and feminine energy within ourselves as women, and also men need the balance of both energies. However, what we started to notice was a lot of women were stepping a little too far into the masculine, and they're doing the strong clothes. I've got 2 of these left, Florentine, if you're serious, take one now. Like that isn't how we're meant to sell. That isn't how we're meant to operate and run a business. It should come from a space of love and that it's, integrity based and the right thing to do, not just to make a sale. And so what we're guiding women back to, like if we think back through history, Laurentine, to Audrey Hepburn, for example, I have a beautiful black and white picture of her on the cover of Vogue in my office. And you think back to the grace and elegance and unapologetic nature and confidence that she had. Why was that? She was severely feminine. She stepped into her feminescence, and you loved her or you didn't, but she didn't apologize for who she was. She unapologetically graced a room with confidence. And there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. There's a difference in me saying I'm all get up to every woman. No, I'm not. No one is. And I don't want to be. But the people who are meant to be part of my world and part of my tribe, I adore them, they adore me because it's meant to be. And they see me in my feminescence, and it links and it connects. And I think if you're listening to this and you found a real disconnect, or you found relationships that haven't quite worked, have you truly been in your feminescence when you've been in that relationship, or were you modeling, right, and covering up yourself and who you really are and your real honest thoughts to please the other person because maybe they should on you? They've told you that you should be and present a certain way. And so if you think about relationships that are easy and in flow like you and I have, it's just natural. It's like a dance. There's no hardness. There's no pushiness. It just makes sense and it clicks. And it's because both of us are standing in our feminine, it works. I'm not trying to be anything else but me, and neither are you, and that's why it works.
That is so, so true. And sometimes, there is a catalyst to allowing women to actually embrace their feminine essence. Like you're saying, there is a deep, like if we talk about from Food Matters audience, perhaps there is an illness or a disease or a breakdown, or there is a, perhaps we're dealing with a crisis in our life, something like you're saying, you had to go through financial struggle, or people may have to go through an identity crisis for us to really go, actually, no, let me just peel off those layers. And who am I today that society wanted me to be, or my parents wanted me to be, or my boss wanted me to be, right? And what if I remove those layers, and who am I really, truly deep down in my core? So I'd love you to speak to, how women sometimes come to this place, and how there is usually a life crisis that precedes this.
Oh, look, that's such a great question. And, it's interesting that every one of us are where we are today because of the choices we've made. And if we've allowed others to dictate their values and should on us, that also comes back to us allowing that. No one can ever get us to do something that we haven't allowed them to do. And there are certain situations, and life happens. Life happens to all of us. Yet there's some people that life happens to and they're thriving, and others are just barely surviving. But the same thing happened to both. Why is that? There's people I know that were in same childhood situations to me, sadly, that are no longer here on this planet because they couldn't cope. Okay. Right? Because it was quite horrendous what we went through. And yet I chose to pay forward the gift that my beautiful dad gave to me by honouring me with a chance to choose my future. And I wanted to make sure that I honoured him in saying that I'm going to go out and be everything I can be. And there was something you said earlier which I loved, was around all these masks that we wear. And I guess when we talk to a lot of women that are in our Feminescence magazine, because we profile our women in 2 publications a year, and there's a lot of process that they go through in their minds and their hearts when they're going through the journey of sharing yourself globally in a magazine for people to really see who you are and your feminescence. It's like you're being portrayed naked, right? They get 6 pages in this gorgeous magazine and they've got to show up as them. And so there's a journey that they go through. And some women have said to me, like, Shar, what if I show the world who I truly am and they don't like me?
Oh.
And it breaks my heart because, they're hiding their true feminescence because they're worried about someone who they possibly don't even know commenting.
Right.
And I literally say to them, darling, but what if they adore you? And what if they've been waiting for you their whole life to show up as you? And it brings me to tears because for many years I never showed up as me. I'm clearly an emotional being. I'm I work from the heart. I'm soulful. I genuinely care about our clients and getting them results and helping them be seen and gain authority and visibility. Like, I work from that space, which is why we only work with 12 women in each magazine, because we pour so much into them. We don't want a 50 a month churn and burn. It's not that. And so there's some people who go, oh, Shar, you're just too full on. And I used to take offense to that. Why are you so passionate all the time? Like, calm down. And then I realized they weren't my people, because now I've surrounded myself with people going, turn the heat up. Like, let me into your world. What are you doing now? Tell me about this book in New York. Like, I want to be part of it. And I cry on the phone. I'm laughing on the phone. I'm everything on the phone. I'm dancing. And they love that, all right? Because I've shown up as me. And I thought, you know what? I'm now 51. If there are people who don't get who I am, I'm now really comfortable with going, thank you for letting me know that. I'll let you go so that you can go find your tribe, and I can make space for my tribe to find me.
If you're looking for a one-stop shop for everything nutrition, health, and wellness related, make sure you head to foodmatters.com and sign up to the Food Matters newsletter. And we'll be able to send you healthy recipes from Thanksgiving, Christmas, and recipes from the Food Matters recipe book, as well as tips and tricks on how to stay, live, and eat healthy, as well as looking after our gut microbiome and how to make sure that we age gracefully. Wow, that is so powerful. And it is true. It's really about, you're just saying, we're all allowed to. You're just giving us permission to be our true self, to really show up with our flaws, to show up with, you know, the disasters that may have taken place in our life and not have to cover them up.
And yet to still take place.
Or yet to still take place. Exactly. So from a perspective of, let's say for the listeners right now that are understanding more about, okay, so I have the permission. Okay, so how do I tap deeper into my feminine essence? How do I tap into my intuition? How would I do that for those that have, you know, perhaps been, you know, boss bitch and making all that, like making it work for themselves, their families, their children, their careers, you know, and has stood on the forefront of their career and gone, why am I still not fulfilled? And how do I tap into my true self, my intuition, and really go and follow my path of highest alignment?
Oh, right? So beautiful. And I was honored to do a TEDx talk. And at the end of that talk, this is the only question I believe that we need to ask ourselves, and literally hand on heart and ask yourself, is this what you really want? Because when we lean into that one question, it actually allows us to answer honestly in our soul immediately. And it doesn't mean that when you hear the first answer being yes, no, maybe, whatever, you don't second guess it, because then your ego monkey brain pops up and goes, oh, hang on a minute, I've got something to say here. No, you be quiet. I'm not talking to you.
Don't ask how. Don't ask how.
Exactly. Is this what I really want? And the first thing that pops up, even when I'm invited to things like this, you know, all of us get opportunities for different things and experiences. And when my team say, oh, this has happened, that's happened, what would you like me to answer them with? I ask myself that question. Hand on heart, is this what I really want? And if I get an immediate heart yes, I go back to the team and say, here's my calendar, book it in. If I get a no, I go back to the team and say, please let them know that my dance card is really full right now. I'm so honoured they thought of me. Please keep me in mind for future, right? Because I don't want to offend anyone. However, I need to be true to me. And sometimes when we say no to something, which women often struggle with, because I certainly did, we feel like we're letting others down. But ultimately, who are you letting down? You're letting down yourself. Right.
Oh, it's so well said. And it's like, if we start to if we really start to question ourselves in that way, and we really see everything else as a sign, like, yes, this is how I'm supposed to be walking this path. And yes, that feels like a full body yes. And
Yes.
no, I'm not going to say yes to that because I'm a people pleaser. I'm going to be
Yes.
doing that for that person. No, I'm going to be honoring my full body yes. And if it's a full body no, then I'm going to be okay with telling them that, or,
Yes.
and just perhaps letting people down, but at least you're not betraying yourself, right? And that feels so
Oh,
powerful.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because we all have to remember this is actually our life. And
Mm,
so, whilst you might feel like you're letting others down, actually, what you've done is made sure that they then find the perfect alignment person for whatever that is. And remembering that you've then freed up space because the universe knows there is something so much bigger I'm about to gift you. If you fill it by being a people pleaser with this particular thing, I can't give it to you. So, please don't do that.
okay. So how do we, once we start on this path and we're like, wow, okay, this is different, and new things start showing up, how do we know and trust and keep trusting our guidance and our intuition, before we start, our monkey mind start asking, but that looks a bit weird and that's not something you've done before.
Yeah, that's a great one. And look, there are no crystal balls. It doesn't mean that when we ask if this is what we really want, that when we say yes, magical unicorns fly out of the sky and land in our bank accounts and our laps. And no, it doesn't work like that. Stuff is still going to happen. We just need to keep believing that people are good. The things that are coming to us is because we've called, at some level, Laurentine, we've called them in, right? The fact that you and I have danced around each other loosely, knowing about each other for years, and then boom, together doing some magic and some great things. It shows that when one of us and both of us have probably called each other in at the same time. And
Mm,
so keep trusting, keep believing, keep being your authentic self, keep showing up and tapping into your feminescence, keep asking those questions and keep trusting. But if you ask the question and you're not getting the perfect vibe or a full body yes, and you say yes, then don't get angry when things don't go to plan, because
mm,
your body actually already sensed that it wasn't right, but it didn't know why. And you second guessed it because of maybe your ego brain that said, but I really want this. We don't get a lot of people in our magazine, even though it's a global magazine, they're getting all this exposure. We don't get anyone at all doing it from an ego place. We don't get anyone saying, how much for your cover? I just want to be on a magazine cover around. That's never happened. So when you're not dealing from a space of wanting gain, you're wanting to give,
mm.
those people are established enough maturity-wise and in business to know that you reach a certain level in business where it's about giving back. And when you can be in the hot light and spotlight for a hot minute and share what you do and why you do it and how you do it, you are helping someone else. And so all of us need to be in that light and stop being a best kept secret, because that's how we grow humanity.
That is so, so well said. And I'll never forget, personally as well. I mean, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs with business and then travel and family and moving to different places.
Yeah.
And I remember there was this one time where I felt during a yoga class, I felt this real deep connection with myself. And there was this calling. And I remember this visualization, it just came out of nowhere at the end of a yoga class. It was a Shavasana. And it was this visualization that I was ready. It was like my inner self was saying, I am ready and I'm ready for service. Like I feel like I've done and ticked off those boxes that I wanted to do. And I'm ready to just allow myself to be there for the greater good. Like God, show me where I can be of service. Like it's something that I just started saying. And I remember floating up in this visualization. I was floating up into the sky, and I'm just like, this is me, God. I am here. Use my hands, use my vocal cords, use my body as a vessel to be able to be of service to the world. And I remember just how that little meditation changed me, because I made some different, like very different decisions after that moment. And I never felt like I was stuck anymore in business, or I never felt like I was stuck in, family decisions in life. I felt like I was flowing a lot more because I and almost like entrusted that responsibility and handed it over to a superpower. Um,
Wow.
so maybe you can touch a little bit on perhaps women that are currently feeling, stuck in their career or in their job. They're not really fulfilled in their relationship, or they just know there's something more out there for them. Could you touch on something that they could do to open
Yeah.
themselves up to that?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. That just moved me when you said that. I felt the same way, honestly, and I felt stuck. I felt like I wasn't creating impact. I felt like I wasn't honoring my dad, who's since passed many years ago. I felt like I was on this treadmill of life. I felt like I was going through the motions. I felt invisible. I felt
Not fully
undervalued.
living.
Correct. And I honestly thought, what's the point?
Mm.
And I turned 50, and a month after I turned 50 last year, I was diagnosed with a disease that I had stage 3 of. And it absolutely rocked my world. And what I realized was I had to have 2 major, very painful surgeries with long recovery, still in recovery now. And when I went in for the second surgery, knowing how much pain the first one caused me and how much more this was going to affect my body and longer recovery, I said to myself as I was being wheeled in that if I survive this and I thrive through this, there is no more playing small. There is no more hiding. Like you said earlier, I said to the universe and the powers that be that if I make it through this and thrive and I'm given a second chance, you watch me go big and you watch me do whatever it takes to create impact and honour the life that this has been given to me, to honour my family, my team, my clients, everyone in my life that I will allow in. And I'm going to be really guarded now of who gets into that squishy inner circle, because when they're in, my clients call me the Hotel Charlifornia. You can check in, but you never want to leave. And I take that really seriously because I don't want to play life or business with anyone who doesn't operate from this place. So if you're listening to this, watching this, and you're feeling stuck and you don't know how to shift through that, please take some time to meditate. Use the resources within the Food Matters community. Find someone within there that can help you and guide you to dig deeper in here. And keep journaling and keep letting it bubble up. Just get a journal, get a pen, and just start writing. Don't even think about what you're writing, just write. And let the words are trying to come out. So if you give it a way to come out, it'll come out through your paper. And then don't second guess what it says. If it says it's time to change careers, to leave a relationship, to, make some of those big decisions that sometimes in life we have to do, if they're not honouring you, you don't get a second go at this. It's not an Xbox game you can press reset. It's, and I was given that second chance and I came out of it, and I'm still recovering, but I'm thriving and I'm doing things that I never thought I would. I launched a TV talk show called The Girlfriend Hour. We had, 1.3 million views in 6 weeks. It's something I've talked about for 10 years. And I always said, it's not the right time. I don't have the budget to do it. I found every excuse in the excuse book. I've worn the page of the excuse book to death. I've now thrown it out because I did it despite having sponsors, despite knowing what the hell I was doing. I did it anyway. And it shows that when you get out of your own way, the universe opens up for you. And we're now on this massive mission to bring together 100 entrepreneurs in a global coffee table book. Entrepreneurs creating impact. And it's something, again, I've thought about, would it be great to do that one day? And I said, you know what? May 2024 is the one day. We are doing it. It's already happening. We've been signed by a US publisher. It's off. And, you know, if you're listening to this, don't think I'm anything special. I have just finished year 11. I don't have any formal qualifications or degrees. I didn't go to university. You don't need any of that stuff. If you've got it, great, use it. You don't need it, though. Don't let it be a crutch like it was for me. Don't say, oh, it's all right for her. No, we're all equal. We all have a story. We all have our stuff. You and I, Laurentine, we're just choosing to do it anyway.
I love your enthusiasm. That is so, so beautiful. So, Shar, tell us a little bit more how our audience and our Food Matters community can get in touch with you and your work, and how they can be part of your community also.
Oh, thank you. Look, the easiest gateway, I guess, is my website, sharmore.com.au. From there, you can watch the TV show. You can apply to be on that. You can come through to the magazine. You can go through our books. And if anyone is listening to this and going, wow, I really want to stand in Times Square with 100 entrepreneurs creating impact from all over the world at a big press conference, because you know that when impact makers get together, that's when real change happens. Just reach out to me through the website. All of our details are there. But I really hope that you really think about the life that you've been gifted. And if any part of your life isn't making you feel like you're living life like someone left the gate open, I welcome you to potentially look at changing those areas of your life, so that you can go to sleep fulfilled, wake up excited, and all the people in your life are feeding off that energy because you're just radiating love.
Oh, that's so true. And it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Like, there's never an age where you're like, you know what? I'm listening to this and I'm 60. You know, she's probably talking to the 40-year-olds among us. You know, what age can we not change or never, you know, it's like, what age do you think is like, it's too late? No, you've had enough now.
I think that age would be whatever age it is that you're literally taking your last breath, then you're done. Up until then, honey, girlfriend, you have plenty of time. I know a beautiful woman in the States. She's divine, Diana Wentworth. She was a co-author in Chicken Soup for the Soul books. She's in her 80s and she's just started 3 new businesses. She is not slowing down anytime soon. Yeah. And I think, well, I'm only 51. I've got plenty of time left.
Oh, that's so beautiful. No, first of all, I'm very hard. Thank you for sharing about what you've had to go through and the pain that you've had to suffer through your diagnosis. And, you know, there's probably a lot of us listening to this phone call, this podcast call, just to connect in with that, because these type of hardships, you know, you could be on death's door and you could be literally going, you know, God, if I get through this, you know, magic will come. And it's beautiful that you have been able to pull through and to be able to be here right now with us talking about all this magic that's going to be happening in 2024 and along the way. But what about I just wanted to mention as well on the topic of it's never too late, Louise Hay, of Hay House. She's passed away now, but she didn't come to prominence until she was 70. And she is just such a remarkable woman. And she's done such amazing work for the world and for women. So on my last question before we come to a conclusion on this podcast, what would be your advice to your younger self? Your younger self when you were, you know, standing on, you know, perhaps that precipice of going, okay, well, I need to take this ring. I need to go and, you know, follow what my parents wanted me to do by taking this young marriage and be okay with that. What is your advice to that young self?
I've had this chat with myself and written many a letter to my younger self. And I guess to summarize, what I would say to her is just go for it. Do what makes your heart sing, right? Because now I look back, and there's even in the last 35 years since I was faced with that most pivotal question around that decision I needed to make. In those 35 years, there has still been so many times where I've second-guessed myself because I don't have any formal, awards. I mean, I have lots of awards now, certificates. I've won lots of awards. I am honoured about that. And very proud, because for someone that wasn't formally educated to stand in New York and win one of the best business awards you can win was humbling. But I've had many conversations with myself around, who am I? Who do you think you are, Shar, to be a business mentor? You don't have a business degree. You don't have it. Like, how are you even getting out of bed? How do you sleep at night charging? These are the conversations, by the way, I had with myself. How can you even charge that? And who do you think you are to stand in New York and accept that award? Like, I had all these conversations, and then I started to get this intuitive download that was gifted to me from the divine. And I would say things to my clients that made zero sense as they went through my brain, but I'd say them anyway, and I learned to trust them. And my clients would be just gobsmacked, like, how did you know? How did you know? I heard that all the time. And I'm like, well, I'm obviously being gifted these messages for you. I'm just going to trust them. So don't let your past dictate your future. Don't let what you haven't done define your future. If you haven't done it and you really want to do it, please go do it. And then let me know that you've done it. I invite you to do that. And to my younger self, I still say to her, go your hardest. I have got you. I am here for you. Even if you fall, it's okay. We have Band-Aids and Dettol. We can put a patch on it and move on. You'll learn great lessons while you're down there. But please, darling girl, get up just one more time.
That is so, so beautiful. And Shar, thank you. Thank you for your beautiful feminine essence. Thank you for shining your light so bright. And thank you for allowing and putting other women on a pedestal so they can shine their light so bright. And thank you for your stamina and your strength. Good on you, girl.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've loved it.
Oh, awesome.